88.1 The Burg, your movie central. Welcome back to What to Watch Weekends. My name is Nathan, the host of What to Watch Weekends, and I am not the only person in the studio today. Uh-oh, indeed.
SpaghettiOs.
I have somebody else in the station with me today, and if he'd like to introduce himself, I'm going to adjust the levels on my microphone, or not my microphone, my headphones, because for some reason, somebody turned up the volume on my headphone set to like all the way.
They always do that. I'm telling you, they always do that. That's why I never use those things.
Fair enough.
I'm Noah, by the way. I host the Aloha Friday show on on Fridays. I mean, it's kind of in the name. From 1 o'clock to 3 o'clock. I did it last year and the year before from just 2 to 3, but I bumped it up to an extra hour.
Nice.
So I can have all kinds of people come on the show and whatnot.
Yeah,
it's pretty fun. I play classic rock. So if you like that kind of stuff, 1 to 3 on Fridays is your time.
Nice. I did not know that you bumped it up to an extra hour.
I did.
That's very special.
I thought it would be a good idea because last year I kept running into the problem of I'd invite my friends on, and, I'd be like, I'm having an old friend on the show today.
Right.
And then... You know what I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah.
And then it would start bleeding over. And I'm like, somebody would be
knocking on the
next show. Can I come in? Oh, dang it. We got to end the conversation. So 2 hours means there's enough time to play some good music and then actually still have time to talk and let the conversation kind of...
Oh, yeah. I get what you're saying. That's exactly why on What to Watch Weekends, we go for 2 hours from 8 to 10 p.m. And that's because I tend to go on and on about whatever we're talking about. And you and I, we can both kind of talk about movies for quite some time. That's for sure. Which is why it's glad to have you on again. It's glad to have you on again.
It's glad to. The creature is glad.
Oh no, the creature over there. Well, we are talking about a creature in a way today, that's for sure. Because today we're going to be talking about movies that star Hannibal Lecter, who
great Hannibal Lecter.
The late great Hannibal Lecter. Goodness me. Before the show started, Noah was showing me a clip of Donald Trump calling Hannibal Lecter the late great Hannibal Lecter.
He would always have an old friend over for dinner. You'll find out more in like 30 minutes. If you've never seen this, like any of these movies, strap yourself to your seat because the first time I ever watched Silence of the Lambs, I yelled so loud the neighbor had a complaint.
Oh, dear. Well, that is a very good way to transition into the first movie we're going to be talking about, because we're going to start off with The Silence of the Lambs. Yes! From 1991, available to watch now on HBO Max. That feeling when you're a radio host who talks about movies and realizes your notes does not have a plot summary of Silence of the Lambs written in the notes. That doesn't matter. Okay. That doesn't matter. I can do it by heart. Watch me. Plot summary of Silence of the Lambs is it follows the FBI agent Clarice Starling as she is tasked with finding the serial killer Buffalo Bill. In order to do this, she must consult with another serial killer by the name of Hannibal Lecter. Cool. That sums it up pretty perfectly.
Done by heart. Dang.
Done by heart. Not really needing
crazy
to think about it. And that's because, quite honestly, Silence of the Lambs is a movie that sticks with you pretty heavily.
You could say it's pretty goated.
You could say that, but that wouldn't make any sense because it's about lambs, not goats.
Well, I'm sorry if my jokes are making you feel sheepish.
Oh, for crying out loud.
All right, let's get on with it.
So, let's start with something really weird as a detail to bring up, first of all. I think it's something that I never noticed on my first watch through, but watching this movie again, I noticed something in particular. And I want to see if you noticed it. Mm-hmm. So, the two main characters of this movie are Clarice and Hannibal Lecter, obviously. Mm-hmm. Not Buffalo Bill. He's not one of the main characters.
Just kind of a guy.
Just kind of a guy. So, it's really about the dynamic between Clarice and Hannibal. One thing I noticed is Hannibal, when staring into the camera, you kind of tend to take in that he has very bright, piercing blue eyes.
Oh, yeah.
And Clarice, who gets a lot of close-ups in the movie, has these very almost deep, kind of oceany, but still very blue eyes. And I was thinking to myself,
what a wonderful...
Not
all right, I'm sorry. I'll shut my mouth. I'll shut up.
No, it's fine. But I want to ask, did you ever notice that the two of them both have blue eyes? And do you think it's intentional that they went with Jodie Foster and Anthony Hopkins because they both have blue eyes?
Aside from the fact that they're great actors, I didn't think about that. I thought you were going to go on about like the composition dynamic when they first meet.
Right.
Because, that was a scene actually that I had been sort of looking forward to, because in my film analysis classes back in high school, that was a scene we watched on YouTube, because I guess we're kind of moving into spoilers, not really.
No.
With this one, but it's like, I think it's kind of funny. It came up in my head. It's the start of the movie is like a darker Zootopia. It's literally about this girl who wants to be cop, like doing all the training stuff, but I guess it's kind of like in the middle. She's actually doing the stuff.
Right.
But anyways, she decides to get the help of Hannibal Lecter, and she walks down that prison hall in the asylum.
Right.
And the prisoners are like increasingly crazy guys. I mean, there's that guy who's literally just acting like an animal.
Right.
And then by the end, it's like these giant bars, and you think, oh my gosh, what's this Hannibal Lecter guy going to be like? I mean, he's going to be a savage. And then he's just standing there, and he's like, good morning. And as the conversation between them goes on, the framing is really close on Hannibal and sort of further back on Clarice. She's like teeny tiny in the picture, and he's huge. I mean, there's the point where it's just his head in the entire camera. And then there's a point where she makes a comment, and the camera kind of cuts a little away from him and gets a little closer on her the next time they cut between the two. So I think it's kind of interesting. The framing shows the power dynamic between the two of them just in that one conversation.
Right. I mean, don't get me wrong, all of that's really interesting to bring up. I definitely appreciate all of that. Weirdly enough, I feel like it was during that scene that you mentioned that I noticed for the first time, hey, they both have blue eyes. And I think actually with you mentioning them getting closer to Clarice, that's where I noticed, hang on a second, they both have blue eyes. I feel like, weirdly enough, that actually kind of enhances the point, because you're so engrossed into looking at Hannibal when he's taking up the entirety of the screen, because you can't really look at much else. So you kind of have to look and analyze his face. And you also notice, oh, he doesn't blink. That's like the notorious thing about him. He does not blink. So when you watch his eyes, you notice the color of the eyes, unless you're like that inattentive while watching something. Yeah.
I'm watching the movie.
I'm watching the movie. You have your eyes covered. I mean, with Silence of the Lambs, I wouldn't blame you for watching it through your fingertips at all. But especially during that close-up of Clarice, you also notice how well Jodie Foster can hold a close-up. And because of that, you tend to give her the same treatment as Hannibal Lecter, because both Anthony Hopkins and Jodie Foster are really good at that. And so because of that, you tend to apply the same instincts to Jodie Foster. And again, I keep hammering on it, but I so totally feel like it was intentional for them to have the same eye color, to have that weird inherent connection with each other, to the point where it couldn't have been accidental between the two of them. That had to be a factor.
Wasn't that kind of something? Because, I mean, it's been about a year or so since I saw the movie.
Right.
But isn't it something that Hannibal kind of brings up? It's like, oh, because no one else has been able to communicate with him the way that Clarice has.
Right.
And so maybe, the more I think about it, the more I think about your point, it could make some amount of sense. I don't know if it was like director's intention, but I think about it, and it would be interesting if that was maybe it's like a little something, because again, Clarice is mentioned by, I mean, even before she even goes to meet Hannibal, it's like, this guy's unreasonable. And everybody goes to talk to him. It's just, they can't get anything out of him. But he helps her solve the case with Buffalo Bill.
Right.
And they build this friendship, not really friendship, this like, well, as he says, quid pro quo. And
very much
I don't know. I think it might play into their dynamic just a little bit about how I don't want to say she's a chosen one or anything like that.
No.
But it's like she's the only one who, even after the events of the movie, is still maintaining that connection in a small way.
I feel like it may not have been director's intention. I think that's a really good point you brought up. We're gonna move on from this in just a quick second. But I think the more I think about it, the more I realize it's entirely possible that it was listed in the original novel that Silence of the Lambs is based off of. And so when they were casting the two of them, they were like, hey, let's get somebody with blue eyes. That's just speculation.
They could always just put contacts on them.
Good point. But I did look up pictures of both the actors, and both of their eye colors were blue.
So I don't know. It's
I don't
possible.
know. It's entirely possible. I mean, with Silence of the Lambs, you kind of have to point out some small things like that, like just the eye color, because really, what more else can you say about the movie because of how iconic it is?
Yeah.
In reality, I mean,
Holy smokes, dude.
I could say so much, but I mean, all of this turns out to be is me saying that I'm very scared the entire time. Clarice exists in a man's world run by men who are in charge of the FBI, which... Observation of the year, buddy boy. That's kind of the point. She's like, whoa, big revelation. She's like having to deal with being treated as an object rather than a person. What? That never happens in the workplace. Ever. No way. No, that's never happened to a woman before. That was sarcasm.
That's a bunch of...
I have to like clarify sarcasm like right now just in case. But you know. I mean, the commentary is pretty good because it never says it outright.
Yeah, it's not like, hey, don't do that. Oh my gosh, how many movies are gonna just...
She's really good at like going, hey, try me, which is really good.
And it's not over the top like, some movies where it's just pushes the other characters into their own respective irrelevancies.
Right.
Which I think is a problem that some movies kind of face nowadays. And I think if they were to remake it, which I'm afraid of, because they're talking about like remaking American Psycho with Austin Butler.
Right.
I know it's a completely different franchise, yada, yada, yada. But I mean, Crazy Killers from the late 90s, early 2000s era, that's...
Right.
I just wonder if the next big one is going to be, we're remaking Silence of the Lambs.
Right, yeah. It definitely is something to worry about, and I think it's part of what makes the movie kind of stand out in comparison to even its like successors in a lot of ways.
Oh, yeah.
I think okay. So on the Wednesday show when talking about this movie, I did not mention this, and I felt so bad. The guy who made the music for Silence of the Lambs was the same guy who made the music for the Lord of the Rings trilogy.
Howard Shore.
Yes. And don't get me wrong, it's very good music. However, when I was listening to it, your reactions to me going, however, are hilarious.
However.
They're getting to me. At some points, it kind of sounded like the same almost beginnings of the melodies from the 1979 Batman movie to me.
I remember thinking that for like a split second. and then I think the ambulance scene happened and I went, whoa!
Oh, that's so fair. That is exactly the moment you should not be thinking that it sounds like the Batman
I was
soundtrack.
like, oh, wow. And I was like, oh my gosh. And then that bit happens. And I mean, I don't even know if you talked about it or you're going to talk about it, but holy smokes, have you ever seen it?
Okay. This is What to Watch Weekends where we spoil movies.
Oh, okay.
So remember that.
Yeah, that is true.
And
you've been warned against spoilers of a 31-year-old movie.
Oopsie daisies.
Wah, wah.
Grow up. So here's one thing so to introduce the hospital scene, here's, I think, the interesting point of contention, for me at least. I would argue Silence of the Lambs is a 10 out of 10 movie. I would imagine what some people would say in response to that is, no, it's only a 9 out of 10. Because once you know that about like an hour and a half into the movie, Hannibal disables his security guards, we're just going to put it that way, and escapes from his cell and uses, let's just say he disguises himself as one of his security guards.
Deceit and trickery.
Deceit and trickery in a very disgusting manner.
Yeah, trick or treat, smell my feet. Give me something good to eat. Like, that was just what he did, dude.
Yeah.
But the worst way possible.
In the worst way possible. And here's the deal. When you first watch the movie, you don't know that he has done that until the security guard is in the ambulance being taken away, and it is revealed that Hannibal is disguised as him. And it is a huge shock. Now, people who say this movie would say this movie's just a 9 out of 10 for this moment would argue you know that it's going to happen. So it takes away the suspense pretty heavily. And my response to that is, being a person who's seen it twice at this point, no, it's still a 10 out of 10, at least in my opinion.
I honestly have to say, thinking about it, it's like, oh, of course. But when I was watching it, I'm telling you, this movie sucks you in.
Yes.
Especially when you watch it for the first time. It's just
yes.
You go through it's straw, and and that bit where he just and goes ham on the guy in the ambulance. I mean, literally, that's the point where you just drop into the belly of the beast.
Yeah, and I will say, rewatching the movie, it doesn't lose that impact. If anything, it shifts its perspective because you don't see it coming the first time around. When you see it coming, it's actually kind of worse because you're just sitting there in this like pure existential dread, very much marinating in the stomach acid of the beast, and you're letting it decompose you over and over again, and you're like, darn it, when does it happen? When does it happen? No, not there. And by the time it does end up happening, you're just kind of like, can I be thrown up out of the belly of the beast now? No.
You freak yourself out at some points. Even just watching it normally, you just go, oh my gosh, what's going to happen next? Because I think they really do well with building up both Clarice and Hannibal Lecter. And I think it makes the ending of the movie all the more interesting, too.
Oh, yes, absolutely. I think, let me read what I put in my notes for it. Hang on. I think I put literally in my notes at some point, I said, gah, that ending. That was my reaction after watching it for a second time of all times. I think, no, here's the best way I can describe how I felt during the ending, especially on a second watch through. I saw, okay, so for spoilers, like direct spoilers, what ends up happening, Clarice ends up catching Buffalo Bill, and she gets a call at her reception where she's being fully accepted as an FBI special agent. And she gets a call from Hannibal Lecter, who has fully escaped and is now on the run and about to hunt down his prison guard from the prison that he was in when he first met Clarice. Not the one he escapes from and gets into the ambulance from.
Yeah, because that'd be a little strange.
Yeah, it's like he's already gotten rid of those ones. Yeah. So when he's on the phone with Clarice, he just talks very casually and says, I'm not going to hurt you, Clarice. The world is much more interesting with you in it. And then it shows him following his prison guard. His name is like Chilton. That's the Chilton. I don't remember his first name. It's not really important. What is important is after he hangs up the phone and just follows Chilton off into the crowd, I was just sitting there like violently shaking and twitching really badly. Like psychological distress is what it is, the way I would describe it.
Wow.
And it was like the movie was under my skin at that point, and it basically just escaped. And I was like, I can physically feel my brain glazing over right now. And it's not a pleasant experience, but it's exactly the kind of thing that the movie instills in you. That's exactly the experience you're supposed to be getting from it. And in terms of being effective, oh man, is it effective?
Yeah. isn't it that the ending shot of the movie is just it's just a long shot of him walking down the street. And of course, I cannot forget that literally the last thing he says on the phone was, "You'll have to excuse me. I'm having an old friend for dinner tonight." And, because normally when you say that, it's like, oh, I'm having an old friend over for dinner. But it's Hannibal Lecter.
Hannibal
he literally
the
eats
cannibal. Hannibal the cannibal.
Hannibal.
He eats his...
He's having an old friend for dinner. And then it just leaves off on that long shot of him just walking, slowly following him. I mean, oh my gosh. And he's fully disguised. Like the old prison guard just walks right past him. Doesn't even recognize him.
Right.
And it's wild.
This movie is, I think, the emotional experience I had. Again, brain glazing over, psychological distress. But that was definitely a boiling over of a lot of built-up emotions during the movie, which was a overwhelming sense of fear, a mix of anger at Hannibal, which is like, sure, he's well portrayed. You're not supposed to like be on his side.
Yeah.
And feeling some anger at him is probably normal because you're a human being. And
no, I like people who eat other people.
Yeah, I know.
Great.
They're I'm
just
sure they have
fantastic.
wonderful personalities, you know. Sunshiny day. I also felt weirdly sad while
Great
watching the
taste.
movie. Great taste. For crying out loud.
I think they're really into humanism, like as a philosophy.
Oh,
But I mean, let's move on. We got to get to the meat and potatoes of this.
How are you so good at this?
I don't know.
How are you
Just
so
fire
good
from
at
the
these
hip. Boom.
Bruh. I'll tell you this much. If you watch Silence of the Lambs, you're not going to be feeling this.
You're not quite going to be laughing.
No. He's too good at not making you laugh. And if anything, if you're watching the movie with your feet glued to the floor and unable to move and just like showing signs of pure psychological distress, you're getting the experience out of the movie that you're supposed to be. You know?
I think so. Yeah.
Definitely a paralyzing experience from a horror perspective.
Oh, yeah. No, because like usually when I'm watching a movie, sometimes I'll like fiddle around and whatnot. Not like playing Subway Surfers or anything.
No.
But, sometimes I just fiddle around.
Oh, yeah,
like, twiddle my thumbs.
I do the same thing.
This one, I was literally sitting in a wooden chair up in the attic because my mom was showing me the movie. And she's like, all right, here, let's watch Silence of the Lambs, because it was on Amazon at the time. And I was like, oh, sure. Rented it out, watched it on the big TV up there.
Stone.
Sat there. And again, when that ambulance, because I was like, oh, my eyes were just glued to the screen.
Oh, yes.
And then literally, when that ambulance scene, it's like, oh,
sheesh.
Oh, sheet.
Bed sheet.
Oh, bed sheets.
Bed sheets.
Oh, sashimi.
Okay, we're gonna.
All right.
We've proven the point. We've proven the point. Well, yeah, I don't think there's much more to say. I mean, sure, we've kind of laughed while talking about it.
The butterfly. Butterfly.
The butterfly.
Yeah, remember there's the butterfly.
Oh,
Not just
yeah.
the one on the poster, but he comes through in the movie.
Disgusting.
Yeah.
We're not going to talk about
Are we going
that.
to talk about Buffalo Bill, or are we just going to kind of leave him?
I talked about him
Leave
plenty
him.
on
Okay.
Wednesday.
He's a strange guy.
Yes.
I'm going to be honest. Like, I'd heard it's like...
Let's no. We're not even gonna. Let's not touch on it. Honestly, I'm not. I don't think. I think psychologically we have covered the heavy beats of the movie, but
That's fair.
there's still plenty more to unpack with the movie.
We can't put all of the movie out there because you, the viewer right now, needs to watch this movie.
In our opinion.
Yes.
In our opinion.
No. It's not just in our opinion. It's in everyone's opinion.
Oh yes, it's in a lot of people's.
We are telling you to watch this movie. Like, this is, you got to watch it.
Definitely, I can agree with that standpoint.
I'm about on my last leg with these things.
Oh darn. Well, what we aren't on our last leg on is the show. That's for sure. We're just we're
just getting started.
We're just getting started, and we're gonna go to music break right now. And when we come back, we will be talking about the next movie, Hannibal. 88 won the Burg, your movie central. Welcome back to What to Watch Weekends. My name is Nathan.
And my name is Noah.
And we are back to talking about Hannibal Lecter movies. The next movie we're going to be talking about is Hannibal from 2001, available to watch now on HBO Max. For the basic plot summary of Hannibal, we follow Clarice Starling. I always want to say Sterling because that's the name of the main character from the show Archer, where his name is Sterling Archer.
Oh yeah.
And Sterling is like this metallic sound. I don't even know what Sterling means, but her name is Starling. Agent Clarice Starling, as she is tasked with now finding the escaped Hannibal Lecter and bringing him to justice before Hannibal Lecter's only surviving victim, a man by the name of Mason Verger, I believe, finds Hannibal Lecter and kills him. Which is, you're giving me a very confused look.
Interesting. I didn't think there would be somebody who would survive.
Yeah.
The Hannibal Lecter, who literally ate like parts of every person he killed.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, like he literally skinned a dude, and then there was the other one who turned him into the painting of Manifest Destiny.
Right, yeah. Pretty disgusting. All factual, by the way. We're not describing a real person who committed real serial crimes.
No.
Hannibal Lecter is fictional. Have to clarify that. So let me explain that a little bit.
He's giving me a Hannibal lecture.
What? Hannibal Lecture. Ha ha ha. You're very funny.
Oh no, he's cutting the program. Did you see it?
Oh,
Blink
darn.
For a second.
Oh no, we've been found out. Anyways, let me explain it a little bit. Mason Verger is like bedridden and very much scarred and very old looking and very disgusting. And he's played by Gary Oldman of all people. And you can't even tell that it's Gary Oldman.
So, dang.
He kind of looks like a raisin.
So Hannibal Lecter is getting hunted down by the shriveled up granny from SpongeBob.
Yes,
and
absolutely. No, 100%.
He's like the guy from Breaking Bad. Ding, 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 ding.
You know what? Boom. You know what? I'm gonna Mason Verger. You want to see?
You gotta edit this like on the YouTube clip or something.
Look at this. It literally is.
Oh my gosh.
It basically is the grandma
the
from
granny
SpongeBob.
from SpongeBob.
It is.
Get out.
It is very close.
Chocolate?
What are they selling? Chocolate? I nailed that voice.
You did.
Thank you. But it is an uncanny comparison. That's the upsetting part. Anyways, that's played by Gary Oldman. Ridiculous.
So Gary Oldman plays Gary the Old Man.
Yeah. Believe it or not, that's like probably the least of this movie's problems. Oh no, right? Oh, just not a no-no. You're just kind of sad.
Yeah, I'm just kind of sad because it's like, Silence of the Lambs is literally, I would say probably one of the best horror movies ever made.
Oh, absolutely.
And the fact that everything around it's just kind of...
It's disheartening.
Yeah, just a little.
Well, let's make this fun then.
Let's make it fun.
Let's make Dancing on the Grave of Hannibal fun by doing a numbered list of all the things wrong with it.
Hannibal Lecter on the Hannibal Lectern.
Yeah. Lectern is like a podium, right?
It's the thing that you put like the book on.
Yeah. I'm definitely like preaching to the crowd here. So let's go with it. These are all problems that I noticed in the first 25 minutes of the movie Hannibal.
Welcome back to Watch Mojo, everybody.
Oh dear, don't get me started. So,
anyways,
first off, the movie is filmed with these high shutter speeds and slow motion to make it look like an action movie. It is ridiculous, and there's a bunch of blurry effects put over some of these moments to the point where it's just way too much like a overemphasized action movie.
So like a little bit like those 3D screen amusement rides where you get like a little nauseous looking at it.
kind of like more like motion blur where they crank it up, and it's kind of like
Gross.
I can't even like fully describe what the sensation is like. It's more like it's very okay. No, here's the perfect way. Remember this movie came out in 2001, and just imagine like an overexposed blur.
Ew.
There we go.
So like somebody poured like water on
yeah.
a painting. And
Yep.
just kind of like
smearing very much so.
Smear.
Does that explain it pretty
Yeah.
well? Yeah. Okay.
That's disgusting. I can see that.
Yeah.
Ew.
So then that's the first thing. Second thing that I hinted at before we came back, Julianne Moore is playing Clarice Starling in this movie. Because I spent over half of the segment on Hannibal on What to Watch Wednesdays dunking on Julianne Moore, I'm not going to do that too much right now. But what I am going to say, I can't get away with not dunking on her at least once.
Just a little.
Just a little. So I will say this. She does not hold a candle to Jodie Foster. Half of Jodie Foster would require 2 Julianne Moores put together.
Wow.
And even then, not really. That's how bad of a choice it was for casting. She doesn't even have blue eyes. I think in the movie they gave her contacts, but in reality she does not have blue eyes. So,
What if they got Anne Hathaway instead? That would be pretty crazy.
That'd be pretty good. Well, she doesn't have like orange-ish hair. She's got more brown.
Just dunk her in some paint.
Yeah. Fair enough. Well, there's that. Okay, so third. The movie opens with them trying to apprehend a criminal, and it's Starling working with like local police officers and the FBI and like a SWAT team. They're going to like a local street market, you know?
Oh.
And the local police officer, this local police captain, they're like, we're going to plan a raid. And Starling is the one calling the shots, and she's like, don't engage with the person we're trying to arrest. And the local police officer is like, no, we have to do it now. Let's go. And he just runs in and starts blazing, right? And you know what that signifies to me? A misunderstanding of the role of men in the first movie pretty heavily. Because you notice how they're not usually the ones who win, except if it's Hannibal. And if they do win, when it's not Hannibal, it's to like affect Clarice's character in some way. Mm-hmm. And this police officer does not show up in the rest of the movie at all and is just there to go, we need to go now. Are you doing an overdramatic yawn, or was that a legitimate, genuine yawn?
No, it was a little bit more like an anguished howl, I guess.
Oh,
Like,
gotcha.
Oh, it's brain melting.
Yes, it is.
That is sad.
That is very sad.
I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed.
Ah, darn. You can understand why that's like frustrating, right?
Yeah, exactly right.
It just destroys like the understanding of the dynamic like gender roles in the entire first movie. This is in the first 25 minutes, by the way. We're still on the first 25 minutes. So here's the fifth thing. Hans Zimmer does not do as good of a job as Howard Shore in terms of music composition.
Wow.
Partially because it felt like an action movie, but still doesn't really fit.
Yeah, action movie, Silence of the Lambs. That's like
It's not really
that's not
horror. Keep in mind, this is only in the first 25 minutes, so it doesn't feel like an action movie the entire way through. But like having that be the initial impression was not a good initial impression. Okay, let's see here. Oh, yes. So 6. In order to explain how Mason Verger is the only one who survives Hannibal, they have a flashback, and they still have all the blurry effects, overexposed stuff, except it's like sepia toned and even more overexposed, and it's just nauseating to look at with like flashes for the transitions. That face.
that's disgusting.
Yeah, it's very disgusting.
Ew.
Oh, you want to know what's
smeared toilet paper?
Yes, quite literally. So 7, it feels like cinematography wise, they're zooming in when they don't have to. They'll like zoom in on something and then they'll just kind of push the zoom a little bit more. And it's like, why? I felt like you guys had gotten to the point where you wanted to zoom it to, and now you're just cranking it a little bit more just for the sake of it. Very weird from a cinematography perspective. Either that or the editor is like digitally zooming it in, which is even more egregious in my opinion. Let's see here. 8. Did you just say 8 as well?
I would say it's the Ken Burns effect in iMovie. He just...
Yeah. So 8. Half of this movie is just Clarice in a basement. And most of the time is spent with a random French police officer that we have not met before. 9. At some point in those first 25 minutes, we get a part in the FBI headquarters where we meet Ray Liotta in this movie, who is in this movie. And they show a part where he's looking at Clarice, and the camera tilts up. She's wearing a dress, and they point the camera at her legs, you know? And once again, that's a very, very heavy misunderstanding of how that kind of thing would be handled in the first movie. You know what I mean? You're looking like so nonverbal right now.
That's abominable. I'm going to be completely honest. That's just sad.
Yes.
Because, I mean, gosh, I'm not saying that, Silence of the Lambs was some revolutionary gender ideology, such,
right.
masterpiece, because it's not the point of the movie. But it still takes time to not just, paint things with a broad stroke.
Yes.
Either. And then there's just that.
Yeah.
It feels like, I don't know. It feels like you're working on something so nice in a clay project, and then somebody like drops a box of bricks on it, and it's all smushed. It's like it's still there, and it's just like...
Yeah.
Oh.
I'd say, honestly, more so it feels like Ridley Scott took his big thumb and just kind of pressed it down. And kind of, yep.
Stuck a big old mark right on his nose.
Yeah.
It just ruins the whole thing.
You know what the final nail in the coffin during those first 25 minutes for me was? A part where Clarice watches like security cam footage of Hannibal Lecter attacking a hospital orderly. Which, you remember how in the lead up to that scene you were mentioning before, where she goes to meet Hannibal Lecter the first time, they show her a Polaroid photo of him incapacitating an orderly with a pen. And they do not show the Polaroid photo. And it's like red lighting, and it just shows Clarice's horrified expression. Well, over dramatic, sure, but I mean, how effective that is, not showing what's on the Polaroid photo and just kind of inferring that's our first like full impression of Hannibal Lecter.
Yeah.
That's destroyed completely by showing just the full security cam footage of him doing something very similar. You know what I mean? I keep saying you know what I mean. I think you know what I mean.
I do know what you mean.
You know exactly what I mean. So I'm going to stop asking. I'm just going to say quite honestly, that frustrated me. That frustrated me very directly because it was a actual smack in the face to something the first movie did so effectively in its first 25 minutes that I feel like they just studied it directly to figure out how to go against it in every capacity way. Every capacity way. I don't even care about English at this point.
Every single way.
Every single way. It's not even like... That's in the first 25 minutes. The ending is an entire other can of worms for this movie. But before we get there, I have to mention, during our last review for Silence of the Lambs, we were like laughing and having fun.
Yeah.
You don't get that with the first movie. Even you can watch certain parts of Silence of the Lambs out of context and just hear Hannibal Lecter go, "Hello, Clarice," or "FAVA beans." And it's like, yeah, it's kind of funny out of context.
It's like, yeah, so
it's silly, goofy.
like
in
you
a way.
can giggle at it.
Yeah, but
You get
in
the little-
context, in context, it's not funny.
No.
Never. In this movie, in context, there are parts where Hannibal Lecter just goes, "Okie dokie," or
Okie dokie.
"You have very shapely feet." And I couldn't help but laugh.
You have very shapely feet.
That is a direct quote from this movie.
Okie dokie.
Okie dokie.
If he said artichokey, I would have laughed, but
Yeah.
that's
Well, you still laughed.
wild.
Yeah. It's just like very wispy, like still in the like Anthony Hopkins way. They still had Anthony Hopkins as Hannibal Lecter, but he goes, okie dokie.
Okie dokie.
Yeah. You want to know? Okay. You know what? You know what? I'm not even going to talk about the ending on the air. I can't do it. I can't do it.
Here, then I'll talk about the ending. Pass me your notes.
Oh, no. No. You don't get this satisfaction. You're going to get something a lot funnier out of me. So,
Okay.
I hope you're ready for this.
All right.
This movie.
Hold on to your butts.
Oh, definitely. So, this movie overstays its. And the ending of this movie overstays its welcome. Here's where I give credit to a movie I thought I would never give credit to. The ending in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre is
Oh my
long
gosh.
and overblown, but at least it stays within the style of the movie and gets the point across. This movie's ending is stupid.
I remember how much you didn't like Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah. And when I'm complimenting the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, that means the movie did something
That
wrong.
means the movie is actually booty butt bad.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Yeah. See, I've blown your mind, haven't I?
Wow. No, because I actually remember when we were talking about like the slasher movies, we were going
Yeah.
through like Halloween and Freddy Krueger and all that, and it was like Texas Chainsaw was the worst.
Yeah.
And wow,
Yeah. I hope I've made an impact.
I think you have.
That's good.
That. I think that pretty well describes just how terrible this movie is.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't like seeing Ray Liotta eat his own brain. We're going to go to break now.
Oh, what on earth?
We're going to break now, and when we come back, we will jump into Red Dragon. See you very soon.
What?
Won the Burg, your movie central. Welcome back to What to Watch Weekends. My name is Nathan.
And my name is Noah.
And we are back to talking about Hannibal Lecter movies. The next movie we're going to be talking about after the wonderful conclusion of talking about the movie Hannibal is now going to be talking about Red Dragon from 2002, available to watch on Netflix or to rent from other places. If you don't want to use Netflix, personally, I don't want to use Netflix, so I would heavily encourage not using Netflix
You
and
go
renting.
to Blockbuster? Do they still have Blockbuster? No, they don't.
No, they don't.
No, they don't.
But if this was from Blockbuster, I probably would have checked it out multiple times. Anyways, basic plot summary of Red Dragon is it follows FBI agent Will Graham as he is tasked with finding the serial killer, the Tooth Fairy. In order to achieve this, he must. Well, first off, I should actually mention he is ex-FBI agent Will Graham, and he must come out of retirement to enlist the help of the serial killer Hannibal Lecter, who he has put in prison in order to find the Tooth Fairy. Very different dynamic. This is where I mentioned the important fact that this is Red Dragon. This is based on the book Red Dragon, which came before the book The Silence of the Lambs. So technically speaking,
right.
This is a prequel to Silence of the Lambs. But it was released in 2002. The way they did these movies is so confusing to me because the way they did it, right, is they went Silence of the Lambs, and then they made Hannibal, which is the sequel to Silence of the Lambs. But then they went back and did Red Dragon. And then the next movie we're going to be talking about after Red Dragon is Hannibal Rising, which is set before Red Dragon, and it's like the origin story of Hannibal Lecter. And that's the like most recent movie And that does not make any sense whatsoever.
Yeah, that's
The
weird.
really weird way of doing
It's like
it,
they were moving back in time.
almost at certain points.
Gotta get back in time.
Anyway.
Do, 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 do.
Is that's from Back to the Future.
Yeah. Huey Lewis in the news.
Yeah, definitely. I just
Exactly
recognized it because I did Back to the Future a couple weeks ago. Anyways, back to Red Dragon. So, you have not seen Red Dragon.
No, I'm not.
Let me say here, first of all, do you remember anything about... No, that probably was in Hannibal, actually. Never mind. I was about to bring up a point that Clarice mentioned. One of the victims that Hannibal Lecter killed off was a flute player for an orchestra that he thought sounded bad. And so he had the board members of the orchestra eat the flute player, which disgusting, but like it was very Hannibal. And that, keep in mind, this is like the crime that he essentially got arrested for by Will Graham. This is not essentially spoilers because it happens at the very beginning of the movie. But I thought that was very interesting. They just kind of go back to that very infamous crime in the very beginning. And to be completely honest, from the audio engineering standpoint, they definitely are really good at isolating that flute player among the rest of the orchestra playing to the point where you've noticed how bad he is. And you go, you know what? I kind of want it. I kind of support Hannibal Lecter in offing this guy, but not really. He just isn't a good player. You know what I mean?
He's just not good, so let's eat him.
Yeah, yeah, I know. It's a psycho thing, but it's Hannibal Lecter.
Yummy in my tummy.
Oh darn. Well,
Scrumdiddlyumptious.
you want to know what's even funnier about this movie?
Oh.
Speaking from a music perspective, actually. Speaking from a music perspective, you know how I mentioned that in the first movie there was a sort of Batman 1979 sound to it?
Yeah.
Well, the music for Red Dragon was made by Danny Elfman.
The guy who made the 1989 Batman soundtrack.
Yes. Wait, it was 1989, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
Darn it.
He also did the stuff for Nightmare Before Christmas and
Yeah.
the first Spider-Man movies.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's really funny to me that we've kind of come full circle.
Yeah.
Back to Danny Elfman.
Back to Batman.
Back to Batman. But in all reality, I am glad it kind of came full circle between these two because if I'm being completely honest, Red Dragon is very nearly as good as Silence of the Lambs.
Oh, wow.
In my opinion, at least. I mean, I wouldn't give it like a 9 out of 10, but I give it a very strong 8 out of 10.
Do they still have Anthony Hopkins?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, okay.
Definitely. And for Will Graham, they get Edward Norton. So, pretty good casting choice. I mean, keep in mind, Will Graham is not a replacement for Clarice, but technically he came first, so
Yeah.
he's definitely in there. I let me see here. There's so many different ways to describe this movie. Okay, so I'll start off with this. Visually, it's a lot better than Hannibal. It's not filmed like an action movie. It has some very rich color moments, like some very bright blues, some very nice ornate reds, some nice wood mahogany textures. Very much in the vein of Hannibal Lecter for sure. Kind of removed from the white clinical side of Silence of the Lambs, but kind of a bit richer and deeper. It looks a lot like a 90s movie, despite it being from 2002.
Well, I mean, the 90s were only 3 years from now.
Sorry, what was that? I couldn't hear.
Well, I was saying that, it's the 90s were only 3 years off from then, so I guess it kind of makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, the first movie came out in 1991, but, still kind of counts.
Yeah.
From a visual side, it's very strong. From an audio standpoint, this movie is so tickly to the brain. It's very deep and bombastic in its sound design, but it sounds like the same quality of the 90s. Like I said, there was the stuff about like separating the flute from the rest of the orchestra. That's like in the first impression side of things. It's really good throughout the rest of the movie. Like even something as simple as Will Graham like picking the lock on a door or like putting a key into a door to unlock it sounds really guttural and really satisfying. Ooh. And it lines up with the visuals very nicely. It's very crunchy.
That's pretty neat. I can't lie.
Definitely. I mean, you know what they say, good sound and good visuals are a really good combination. You can't have bad visuals You can have bad visuals and good sound, but bad sound and good visuals doesn't work. And in this movie, visuals are above half decent and sound is so you can imagine how much more that elevates it. For sure. I think kind of issues with the movie would be some of the edits. There's kind of like a hiccup where like in between a cut, the audio kind of cuts out, especially at like a near the end moment. But at the same time, it's like for a millisecond to the point where I didn't care. And I was so carried by the emotion and tension in that scene in particular that I could kind of brush it off, but still mention it as kind of a cautionary thing. But in comparison to the rest of it, it's like, okay, that's just like a hiccup. It's a hiccup. You know what I mean? It's kind of like having a wonderful conversation with somebody, and at some point they like really they just get super distracted and look at their feet for a good solid 5 seconds. And then they go back to talking to you and like you're an old friend from like 15 years ago, you know?
Did they have you over for dinner?
Yes. Man, the context of that with Hannibal Lecter is just such a disappointment. Anyways, I want to, let me see here. Oh, yes. The way I describe the story of this movie is the script is functioning. And while that is not like the highest compliment, it is not at all a detrimental thing, because the way I would put it is it's functioning a lot better than Hannibal.
That's good.
And it certainly is above good enough to the point where I'd say, you know, sometimes in order to make a good movie, you just have to be above good enough in order to really succeed. It's part of what makes this movie underrated, in my opinion. It's part of the reason people don't always talk about it, because it's like, in reality, it's just a decent movie. So there may not be all that much to talk about from some people's perspective. From my own perspective, I found it extremely interesting, very fun to watch, and enjoyed it pretty heavily. But some other people might watch it and go, you know what, this is just good. It doesn't, like, struggle being compared to Silence of the Lambs, unlike Hannibal, where it is detrimental to compare it to Silence of the Lambs, because it's the direct predecessor. With this one, they have kind of the flexibility to tone down the insanity of Hannibal Lecter just a little bit, because he's not in his full form like he is in Silence of the Lambs quite yet. So you can kind of forgive him not being in his final form quite yet, because it's a prequel, you know?
Yeah.
You're supposed to not think of him as the full-blown antagonist quite yet.
The Hannibal Lecter.
Not the, I mean, he's still pretty much the Hannibal Lecter, but he's interacting with Will Graham instead of Clarice Starling. And the way that Hannibal and Will interact is very different from how he interacts with Clarice, to the point where you are like just as glued to the screen. Not as much, actually, but very, very close to being as glued to the screen while watching as you are watching him interact with Clarice, because it is very different. Will does not take any of his nonsense and kind of just bulldozes Hannibal in certain instances, and sometimes he doesn't. But the fact is, the first time they have like a conversation like Clarice, in fact, it's in the same prison cell, it's with Will sitting in the same place that Clarice will literally be sitting in, you notice Will just does not put up with it. The power dynamic is definitely on the side of Will.
Interesting.
It is very interesting. And of course, Edward Norton pulls his weight with Anthony Hopkins. I mean, he's no Jodie Foster, but that's kind of good. He does his own thing, and it works really well for him. I'll also bring up something that I definitely need to mention. I'm not even going to spoil this movie too much, because I actually kind of want to convince you to watch it, and I really don't want to spoil it. The villain, the Tooth Fairy, is played by Ralph Fiennes. Have you heard that name before?
Sounds familiar, but
He's the main character in the Grand Budapest Hotel. He's the chef in the menu. Yeah.
Okay, you just had to say that. I know exactly who you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, he plays.
Okay, I like that guy.
Yeah, he plays a serial killer who has this very interesting relationship with this monster known as the Red Dragon, who I believe is from the Book of Revelation. I could be wrong.
Oh, you're talking about the Red Dragon.
Yes. And there's a very impactful moment where he has captured an annoying journalist played by Philip Seymour Hoffman and reveals his true self, we'll just say. And it's very impactful. I don't want to spoil this, but I kind of have to. There's a big difference between the Tooth Fairy and Buffalo Bill, because Buffalo Bill has almost, we'll put it this way, Buffalo Bill has almost resigned himself to his problems, his disturbances, right?
Yeah.
At a certain point, the Tooth Fairy has basically let himself be taken over by his disturbances. And then he has this moment where he has a girlfriend who is blind and he has a cleft palate. So they have this very interesting dynamic where she feels like people don't see her for who she is, and she's able to see him for who he is because she isn't bothered by his cleft palate and knows he has it still, even though she's blind. Very interesting dynamic, almost heartwarming in a very disgusting way because he's a serial killer and she doesn't know that. At some point, he is essentially wrestling with himself to not harm his blind girlfriend. And he is phrasing it like the Red Dragon is telling him to do it. And he is going, I won't let you have her. That dynamic was captivating to watch play out on screen, if you can imagine. Him yelling at his painting of the Red Dragon, I won't let you win. It shows a very underlying deep psychosis, don't get me wrong. But, I mean, it's just as impactful as Buffalo Bill. If anything, it's more impactful than Buffalo Bill because this is payoff after spending a lot of time with the Tooth Fairy and seeing him have this girlfriend and go from just having her as a associate to eventually dating her in a capacity. And the dynamics that come with that, with her being blind and all of the interesting awkwardness that comes with that. And so you have this weird emotional connection to him through the girlfriend because you feel bad for her, but you kind of almost feel bad for him. And when it has this moment where he's exploding at himself, it causes this weird mix of sympathy that disturbs you very deeply. And again, you can imagine why I would say that that feels very close in quality to The Silence of the Lambs.
Yeah.
I want to ask, has that convinced you at all to watch this movie?
I'm going to be completely honest. I mean, I'll tell you what. The Menu, beautiful movie.
Yes.
I don't know what it is, but that movie tickles my head in just the right way.
Oh, yes.
And I mean, the performance of the chef is
Ray
fantastic.
Fiennes, yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's that. Not to mention Anthony Hopkins as Hannibal Lecter. I mean, he's been playing him this whole time.
Yes.
So I guess it makes sense. But, I think having that combined with this almost, I want to say, like, what you're describing, which is also kind of funny because, again, it goes back to that Danny Elfman point, the conflict of Willem Dafoe's character of Norman Osborn in the first Spider-Man.
Right.
Where there's that scene where he's talking to himself and the Green Goblin mask hanging on the chair. That's what I could kind of picture when you were describing the scene with the painting of the dragon. I thought that was kind of interesting. And, I mean, shoot. I might have to watch that movie. I'm going to be totally honest.
I would recommend it. The ending in particular, I won't even spoil, but the ending definitely got to me. It got under my skin, like The Silence of the Lambs. The big difference is between how The Silence of the Lambs is consistently part of the reason it's a 10 out of 10 is because it's under your skin the entire time.
Yeah.
Red Dragon only has a couple moments where it's genuinely underneath your skin. But it's very engaging when it's not that. It's still entertaining to watch. And it's not as pure of a horror experience, but when it gets there, it gets there. Ooh. So, yeah. I think I have fully convinced you to watch it.
I think you might have. Red Dragon.
I'd recommend it.
I'll have to check it out then.
What I wouldn't recommend is the next movie and the last movie we're going to be talking about, which is Hannibal Rising.
Oh, no.
Stick around after the break for that, ladies and gentlemen, because it's going to be a wild ride. 88.1 The Burg, your movie central. Welcome back to What to Watch Weekends. My name is Nathan.
And my name is Noah.
And we are back for our last little review here, which is going to be on the movie Hannibal Rising.
Fourth is the worth.
Hannibal Rising from 2007, available to watch on Tubi. So if you want to watch this movie,
oh boy,
you'll watch it with ads. So at least you won't have to pay any actual money. You'll just pay with your soul. And I mean that both in the sense that you're paying by watching ads, but also in the fact that your soul will be destroyed by the movie. It's not that bad, but we'll get into it.
I don't know. Is it as bad as Harold the Talking Zombie?
Don't bring that up again. We're not bringing up that can of worms has gone back into the fridge where it belongs.
Well, I just figured since it's October. But,
I know.
Well, let's get on with
that.
That
was last October. So, basic plot summary of Hannibal Rising is it follows a young Hannibal Lecter who was a child in World War II. I forget what nationality he is. But I do know for a fact he was a child in World War II who has his family killed and must go and live his life after that, and how that leads to a transformation into a serial killer that eats people. So, it's the origin story of Hannibal Lecter, hence Hannibal Rising. Okay, where to start?
I was just a normal boy, and then one day, I ate something I shouldn't have. I ate a person. I liked it.
So, I know where to start kind of right off the bat with this movie. The thing you kind of tell immediately in the first, I'd say 5 minutes, is that Hannibal Rising as a movie did not have a very big budget. And it shows pretty heavily. And here's the thing. It doesn't matter how good your script is. It's not like the script of this movie is all that good. But it doesn't matter how good the script is. If you're trying to make an origin movie for a serial killer who grows into a cannibal and you start off in World War II and it has to be influenced by a major event in his life, it's not really, you're going to have a tonal problem as a movie if it looks kind of like the Robert Downey Jr. Sherlock Holmes movies, but cheaper, you know?
Yikes.
That you're going to have a tone problem.
Yikes.
A pretty significant tone problem. I will also say that when you're doing an edit for a movie, you're editing a movie together, right?
Yep.
And you're having characters do a specific action. You just cut to things that are technically in location, but are like an angle that's way too divorced from the previous angle. It's going to come across as sloppy.
Yeah, just a little bit.
I mean, that's for the initial impressions, but most of the time the editing isn't that good anyways. It's just kind of like, let's cut here. Okay, here we go. That's good. And as an editor, it hurts my brain. Don't like it.
See, my question is how, because this was the problem I had. I didn't watch it, but this is the problem I had with that Cruella de Vil movie.
Right.
How do you make an origin story, because it is a movie about this character we already know is a wicked, crooked mess.
Right.
And I mean, like, you know, what was it? Oh, my my parents got eaten, so I'm gonna start eating people too. Like I mean,
It's so much worse than that.
it just doesn't make it. It just I get it that like, oh yeah, everybody has an origin story, but dude, he literally eats people. Cruella de Vil wanted to skin 100 puppies for a coat. I'm sorry, but I cannot sympathize with you.
They benefit more from not having a backstory.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
And so at their core, they do not need to exist as movies.
Exactly.
So, but Hannibal Rising does exist. Cruella de Vil does exist.
Yep.
And here's the big issue with Hannibal Rising. This is, okay. I have to like charge up for this because I watched this movie today.
Somebody put on like that Godzilla womp, 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 womp from the Monsterverse.
Okay. No, it's not even going to be like an atomic breath. It's going to be kind of a very long, just kind of prepared. Imagine you're about to be wailed on with a wet blanket over and over again.
Oh.
That's what it's going to be like.
It's like that bit from Full Metal Jacket where he gets strapped down to the bed and they beat him with a bunch of soap.
I haven't seen Full Metal Jacket, but sure.
I think it's on YouTube.
Oh, boy. Well,
Anyways.
irrelevant. So, about 15 minutes into the movie Hannibal Rising, we follow young Hannibal and his sister Mishka, right? Mm-hmm. They've had their parents killed after the Russian army has come to their cabin where they're hiding away. Keep in mind the Lecters are like a rich family, so they've migrated from their castle to a cabin in the woods. Yes? Mm-hmm. And these Russian army men are coming by, and they're like, we need water for our tank. So they bring out the family, the parents specifically, and hold them at gunpoint, and just to make sure they're not going to try anything funny. They leave the kids inside the house. And then the parents get killed off because a plane comes over and shoots the tank. So the parents are dead.
Oh.
Yeah. Which, okay, fine. World War II. I can accept it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So Hannibal and Mishka are stuck in the cabin by themselves. Cool, okay. Some other soldiers come by, and they storm in, and they decide to take over the cabin and capture the kids and be like, we're going to use them as bait if a patrol comes along, an enemy patrol or something like that. Okay, sure, World War II, whatever. The lines of like who's on whose side is very weirdly drawn, and not to mention these soldiers are also trying to be SS officers anyways, so it's like they're gonna be kind of evil to begin with. Mm-hmm. So at some point, they're running low on food, and one of them goes out and brings back a small bird that has like no meat that they can't eat. Okay, cool. They're in a cold cabin in the middle of the woods with like 8 guys as a group, and they're kind of landlocked because all the roads have blockades that are set up by the Russians, and they're trying to be SS, and they can't get by. Mm-hmm. So at some point, the leader of the group looks up at Hannibal and his sister, who are up the stairs in this kind of loft. They're chained up there, and he goes, "We need to eat to survive." And it's, giving the suspicion, as all the men turn to look at the kids, that they're going to eat one of them. Cut to 8 years later. Hannibal is in an orphanage that is in the castle where his family was before they left for the cabin in the woods. Now, when I say that, I mean they go from, we need to eat to survive, look at the small children up in the attic, cut to 8 years later. Yeah, now you're getting confused.
Yeah.
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 Now you're getting confused. I was too.
Yeah.
So here's the brave thing that Hannibal Rising attempts to do. It attempts to intersperse the flashback of those moments after they say we need to eat to survive into the rest of the movie. Throughout the movie, they'll have flashbacks to where Hannibal was a young child and with his sister trying to protect her and make sure she doesn't get eaten. Because, let's be honest, we know she's going to get eaten. It's the origin story of Hannibal Lecter.
Yeah.
He's Hannibal. We know the whole thing. It's Hannibal Rising. It's an origin story. We know he's not going to get eaten. The suspense there is kind of gone. Unless you don't know anything about like it being about Hannibal Lecter going in, you know it's not going to be him. So we know his sister's going to get eaten. Okay, cool. But they cut before they show any of that happening. And throughout the movie, they flash back to those moments that should have been shown initially before the cut to 8 years.
Yeah.
That, in my experience, is the worst implementation of a flashback I have ever seen in a movie before. You can't just call back to a flashback throughout the course of a movie when you didn't show it happen all the way through the first time. You know what I mean? You can't just like leave us in suspense and then show the details later, and not even that, show the details later with useless information that does not benefit the current scene at all and kind of conflicts with the scene and doesn't even fully show anything. I mean, I'm not saying I want to see the Russian soldiers eat a small girl, but it's barely really all that implied. They don't do a good job of implying it. Sure, they imply it. Sure, it gets the point across, but not well, not effectively. And again, staple that onto the fact that they're cutting back to a thing they didn't show to begin with. And it gets really frustrating.
Yeah.
It builds up over time to the point where I'm like, what? No, this is dumb. This is very badly put into place. And it gets even worse when there's like the ending of the movie almost saved it, but not really. Because now that the more I think about it, the more I still have questions. Because they reveal that, oh, sure, we cooked your sister to survive. We also fed her to you. And it's like, okay, this is supposed to be the story of a serial killer. And I'm not saying I want to see stuff. I'm not saying I want, you know what I want? I want Hannibal Rising to not exist.
Yeah.
Quite
That would
bluntly.
be preferable, because
Preferable.
what?
But if you're going to do this, you got to keep in mind that Hannibal Lecter is a serial killer. He is a psychosociopath. And having the story be that his family was shot in World War II and he was eating his sister when these Russians were trying to survive in the cold and didn't really do it for fun. They were doing it to survive. It doesn't really get across the point of somebody who would develop into a serial killer.
Yeah, just
More like not to say he wouldn't be damaged from that,
yeah.
but like if you know anything about serial killers, you know they have like bad home lives, really bad relationships to people around them. They have a lot of underlying stuff that is not equivalent to shell shock.
Yeah.
It's very different things.
I don't know.
Very different things.
And
very different conditions.
that's just not the vibe of Hannibal Lecter. I'm going to be completely honest.
No.
Because his whole thing is that he's cold-cut professional guy. He is a doctor.
Yes.
He has a doctorate. He's a very, I mean, aside from the fact of eating people, he would be a very successful person.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, a part of his character. And to kind of, I mean, I know that successful people can come from those sorts of things.
Yes.
But it's also just, that's not,
You know,
I don't know. It sounds kind of lame
Yeah.
when it's like the Hannibal Lecter. And this is his story. Oh, he just ate his sister. Ew.
Ew.
It's just gross. It's not even like, you know, if there was some, I could have seen if like, oh, maybe it was just him and he just ate a random person. I thought it was honestly going to turn into, when you were describing the soldiers, I thought maybe, you know, they would eat each other and like the two siblings would try and not do it, but eventually he gives in and she runs away.
right.
Like that would have been interesting. And it's like he develops that taste for human flesh instead of it just being like, I accidentally ate my sister because the bad guys fed her to me.
Because we were starving
kill and eat people now.
in the cold. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to kill and eat people now.
Yeah. And if anything, when he kills people in the movie, they're like the people who did that. And it's like, this is a revenge story.
Yeah, it's not just...
Yeah.
Like, I know he's a guy for revenge. I mean, literally, The Silence of the Lambs ends with him chasing after a guy just because of what the guy did to him. But I don't know. It just sounds kind of lame.
Yeah.
I'm going to be completely honest. It's just lame. I think it's the best way to put it.
Yeah. And on top of that being lame, it also was like the worst implemented flashback I've ever seen in a movie. So bravo. Bravo, Hannibal Rising. You've won that award fair and square. Unless I see a movie that just throws in a flashback that's completely useless, but we'll see.
I know a movie that's worse, but I don't know how you'd actually be able to find it.
We don't have time anyways.
No, we don't.
So,
I'm afraid.
Unfortunately, we have reached the end of What to Watch Weekends tonight, but it's fine. I'll be back next Wednesday from 8 to 9 p.m. here on 881 The Burg for What to Watch Wednesdays, and then I'll be back some point next week for the next episode of What to Watch Weekends. We shall see how that goes because next weekend is homecoming weekend. But if you want updates on when that'll be happening, be sure to follow along with What to Watch Wednesdays at What to Watch Wednesdays, all in word, no caps, no spaces on Instagram and YouTube. And for Noah, I'll let him plug himself as well.
And just make sure to tune in on Fridays at 1 to 3 o'clock for some classic rock and good vibes on Aloha Friday. And yeah, thanks for having me on the show, Nathan. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for being on. It's great to have you on as always. I will be back next Wednesday, everybody, to tell you all what to watch. Good night.